You are an advisor to startups, maybe some you've invested in or others that you didn't invest in. When you advise startups in this sort of product-led growth area that you're an expert in, what do you tell them to do differently than you would do at a later stage company like Mongo, Snake, or Oso?
I never tell any of my companies to do anything. I always just share. Usually they ask me questions like, how would you handle this? And I say, well, here's a couple of ways. And I always caveat with, my experience at MongoDB and at Sneak were very different from the stage we're at today. And I also think this, when I joined Sneak, it was like 10 million ARR. When I left, it was like 200 million. So really different scales. And then at Mongo, when I joined, it was like, Azure had just come out. Like it was just a really different world. So I always give them that context that like, what I'm going to tell you is, some advice, but you shouldn't just take it as I have to do this. Your question was around like, how does that,
Should they be doing things differently than the later stage companies?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is that? What are those differences?
I learned something great from somebody named Tito Carreo. He's the founder of Koala, and he had this hilarious phrase of like a learn to burn ratio. And he was like, you need to have a really high learn to burn ratio, which means like you need to be learning more than you're burning. So if you're doing things and you can be making mistakes, but if you're learning from them, that's great. If you're not learning from you, just burning cash, that's a really bad situation to be in. So a lot of the times when I'm talking to them and they're asking me more strategic questions, it's always like thinking of that in the back of my mind. It's like, okay, are you learning more than you're spending to get this insight and to move the needle forward? And I think with later stage companies, you have a bit more cushion around that where you know more about what your audience wants. You have some tried and tested things, and a lot of it's just about scaling them out and making sure that they can continue to deliver growth. Whereas with an earlier stage company, it's like everything is unknown. So you have to figure out how to move quickly.
Yeah, figuring out where to spend your time is really tough. One of the things I started using at my last startup was, will this matter if the company's not here in a year? Like if we do this right now, will it matter? There's a lot of things that you can do that just won't matter in a year. Like if we do this and the company's not here, it won't matter that we've done it. And so like, it's a really good test, I think, for determining whether or not you need to build something now that scales, or you can get by with process light stuff and worry about fixing it later. It's kind of that thing we were talking about earlier. It's like when you decide to build in all the security stuff in your app, right? It's the same thing. When you decide to build in all these processes that are a little bit more advanced that you maybe don't need. And it's very easy in a startup to default to process because you don't know what to do all the time. You don't know how to prioritize everything. And it's like, well, what's right in front of me? Well, this part of the process is broken. So let's go fix that. Fixing that or not is not going to make a difference to whether or not you get that deal that you're trying to get.
Yeah, because finding product market fit is way more important than whether it's the most scalable solution or the most performant solution or any of that.